Hey guys, look, I couldn't be bothered doing an FA Cup final review against Arsenal. Look, everything that could go wrong went wrong. Shambolic refereeing, thank you so much, Anthony Taylor. Injuries galore. We didn't turn up as well, so kudos to Arsenal. So I couldn't care less about that final. And everyone's kind of talked about it, and we all know what has happened anyway. So let's forget it. So for me, look, the season's over. I know we've got a match against Bayern Munich, but pretty much no one's available, so I couldn't care less about that match. So I thought this is a perfect opportunity to evaluate what has happened this season. Really try and make some sense of what's transpired the whole season, looking to some positives, some negatives. So yeah, guys, stay tuned for the whole video and let me know what your thoughts are. Hey guys, welcome back to the other side of the coin. Now look, for me, honestly, the season's over. I know we've got the Bayern Munich game coming up in a few days' time, but half our squad is injured, some are not available. So for me, I don't know how we're going to turn around this 3-0 deficit. There's footballing miracles that have happened in previous times, but honestly, I'm not expecting this to happen. So for me, this season's over. So I thought this is the perfect opportunity to evaluate what has happened this season and try and really put some perspective around it. So I want to look into our Premier League, performance. I want to look into our domestic performances. I want to look into the Champions League performance. I look at the positives and the negatives of, this season under Frank Lampard, and also look at some of these, new signings that we've already got. So, and the youth players that have been involved this season. So let's get cracking into it. So first of all, look, let's not beat around the bush. It's been a tumultuous season. We knew from the get-go that this was going to be a hard season with Hazard not there, transfer ban. Frank Lampard in his first season in the Premier League, it's his rookie season. He's only had the one season under Derby, so he's a new manager really. And he's had to rely a lot on the youth players from our academy and the existing experienced players really. So he just couldn't buy anyone, so he had to do what he could with what he had. So for me, honestly, the expectation was still that we were going to get top four. I knew for a fact that Man City and Liverpool were too far beyond us and far beyond anyone else. But I thought we had enough quality against the rest of the other teams in the Premier League. And that's pretty much what transpired anyway throughout this season. I just thought that the rest of the league isn't as strong as the other two, and we are a perfect match for them. So look, the season started off very, very tough for us. Loss against Man United, and then it was quite tough in the beginning. But surely down the track we got into a bit of rhythm. Even from the beginning, we could see there was some defensive issues, individual errors, set piece issues. But as the season went on, there was a patch of 7 or 8 games winning streak, which we started to look good. Some of our play was looking good. You could see a touch of what Frank was trying to do. He still had the possession-based football, but he was trying to play more direct, as opposed to sideways, backwards passing. He wanted to go more direct and have shooting opportunities as much as he can. He liked the crosses as well. So we went through that period, and then around November, December, till about January, just before the lockdown, I suppose, we went through this really, really strange form of winning one, losing one, drawing one, winning one. And it kind of continued for about 3 months or so, I'd say. And a few players were on and off in their performances. And that was frustrating because during that period, it was quite visible to see that we struggled against low block teams. We struggled with the set pieces in defending. Kepa started to show real poor performances. And defensive structure, there was no defensive structure. There was too much gap between defenders, midfielders, forwards, and we just didn't know how to defend in transitions. But yeah, set piece defending was probably a big issue as well. So, and then obviously just before the lockdown, Frank kind of switched into the lone DM and attacking eights, and that worked for a bit. Straight after the lockdown, that definitely worked. Kante being the lone DM. But then he got injured, and that's been the season for Kante. And then after he got injured, we had to revert back to Jorginho, Kovacic in double pivot. And that, once again, has been a bit up and down. Some games we look fantastic. Some games we look so vulnerable defensively. And overall, look, we ended up coming fourth, and that's what I expected. And I think with all the issues that was lined up for us, I think it was a good season. I basically think it was a fairly good season. I'll get to the negatives and stuff down the track. Champions League, honestly, I thought we were good enough to win that particular group, but we ended up coming second. We had to wait till the end, the last game. We made a bit of a mess earlier on, but had we come first, we probably wouldn't face Bayern Munich. I would have faced Atalanta. I'm not saying Atalanta would have been easy, but it would have been a far better game for us as opposed to Bayern Munich. As we know, in the second round, Bayern Munich smashed us at home 3-0. So Champions League, look, for me, we've got to be better next season. We can't just simply, scrape ourselves out of the group stage and then somehow make it to the second round and get beat. We've got to do better. So yeah, not much else to say. It's just, we should have gone out of that group as being first. We had enough quality to do that against Ajax and Valencia and I believe Lille. So nonetheless, we got out, but it is what it is. Next, the domestic competition. I think the one that really hurt for me was losing against Man United in the League Cup. That Man United at that point was not that strong. So, getting beat by them, by that average Man United team really hurt. And that was that period when we were going through that off, sort of winning one, losing one. We had the team, we had the quality, but it's just execution was letting us down. Defensively, we were getting let down. The double pivots of Jorginho and Kovacic, as I said, some games looked great. Other games in the counter, we'd get done. And that's exactly what happened against Man United, that League Cup. A couple of individual errors, I believe, from Alonso as well. And we got done. But FA Cup, obviously, we had a really good run, I expected at least the domestic cup. That's honestly, I kid you not, I expected top four, one of the domestic cups, and quarterfinals of the UCL because I honestly thought our team was good enough, and we almost did it. To be honest, besides the UCL, we almost did the domestic one as well. FA Cup throughout, we looked really, really good. We beat some top teams to get to the final. And the final, that's the only thing that we didn't show up. And I won't get too much into it. Obviously, everyone's talked about it. It's all over social media. Injuries killed us. The referee definitely killed us with some crazy, crazy decision making. And of course, we didn't turn up as well. Tactically, in-game management from Frank was probably not up to the standard. But we got to the final, which is great. We even played the Super Cup final. And that was probably the only one that I felt that, even though we lost, I felt I was proud still with that performance because of how well we played. So yeah, overall the season, I feel it was a decent season under Frank Lampard. Now let's look at some positives and some negatives. Some positives for me, really utilising our youth academy and getting some gems, the likes of Reece James, Mason Mount, what an engine he's turned out to be. Fantastic season from him. Goals, assists, but more than goals and assists, it's his other involvement in terms of energy, pressing high up, and just simply being available throughout the season. With all these injuries, thank God he's been available most of the times, and Frank's most trusted player, in my opinion. So kudos to him. Obviously, Tammy Abraham with all the goals. And then Billy Gilmore, introduction of Billy Gilmore. He looks like a fantastic player that's coming through. Tomori had a good, beginning of the season. And I might have missed out on a few more youngsters out there. But overall, our youth players have done really well. Reece James is the other one as well with his ability to, you can see he's the future right back for us. So all of these players have got an equity. Basically, they were worth, we got them for zero money. And now they're worth a lot of money. So that's a positive. The other positives are that, we've shown a lot of good resilience. There are certain matches where we were behind, we came back and we won. Certain matches that were, most recently against Leicester in the FA Cup, it was 0-0 for a long periods of time. They were probably the better team, but we ended up beating them. And overall, I think, the resilience looked pretty good most of the times for me. And I guess the other positives could be is, being a transfer ban season, coming to top four, making into some of these domestic cup, FA Cup final and whatnot has been very, very good. Frank's man management has been fantastic as well in terms of Pulisic, in terms of a few other players as well. You can also say on the flip side, his man management against Giroud probably wasn't the greatest in the beginning. He probably should have used Giroud a bit more. And Pulisic, I feel was a good piece of man management. Kante probably wasn't the greatest. Every time he came back in, We thought he was fit, but clearly he wasn't. Some negatives would be, as I said, the defensive issues. Not being able to find a solution for low blocks. And throughout this season, this defensive issues just never got away. Set piece defending, issues with Kepa. I guess we can't do anything about that, but that was a bit of a massive issue I suppose, together with the defensive issues that we had with our defenders and our fullbacks. So yeah, the defensive structure is something which seems to be a massive issue for Frank Lampard, which he hasn't found a solution for it throughout the season. And other negatives I could say is that probably not having I don't know what our style is completely yet. Yes, it looks like we are sort of going towards more direct play, crosses, but that's not always, I don't know, we lack creativity. I feel like, yes, we want to be direct, but we lack the sense of, what is our true style. We seem to revert back to 3-4-3 at times. We've got the 4-2-3-1 at times. So it'd be good to see next season, Frank deciding on a predominant style and then using the variation very occasionally, rarely, I suppose, when needed, not whenever and any time. So yeah, these are some of the negatives and positives. The other positive would be is how quickly we've done some of our transfer deals, the likes of Ziyech and Werner. Looks like Kai Havertz just around the corner as well. And we're identifying some of these talents very quickly and getting them. And at the same time, we're looking to get rid of some of our players that are not that great. And it's good to see that we're making those actions. Like, for example, Emerson is one that seems like is on the way out. So overall, that's been my, complete, I suppose, evaluation of the season. And I hope next season that everything that we've seen this season, all the different excuses we've had this season that we don't use for next season, that we're ready for next season, we're about 30 points off Liverpool this season. I don't want to be in the same case. We need to, catch up on that challenge for some silverware, challenge in the Premier League. I'm not saying go out there and win it. We need to be challenging. We should be not more than 10 points away from, the champions if we are not the champion. So that would be the target. The defensive issues have got to go away. We need to be far resolute in defense. We need to get ourselves a left back, goalkeeper, centre back, and be ready for it, because next season, honestly, we are going to be, Frank's not going to get the honeymoon period that he's got this season. It's going to be a lot more critical next season. And I hope all of these things that I've mentioned, like in-game management as well, Frank's going to get a bit better. There were certain games where he wasn't the best at it. Some of his substitutions as well, he's got to get better. And, when he sees certain things that are not working, he's got to get into it very quickly and change it. So yeah, guys, let me know what your thoughts are of this season. This is my evaluation of this season. Overall, this season, I thought it was an okay season, but it's got to get far better next season. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, smash the like button. If you're here for the first time, subscribe and hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Until next time.